Hello and welcome to Crossfire, the show that dives into the heart of global conflicts, where nations collide, alliances shift, and lives hang in the balance. On tonight's show, we tell you how Russia might be looking to declare an early victory in Ukraine, as the turmoil in Syria might be forcing Putin to pivot. Also on the show, we tell you how the children of war in Gaza continue to suffer. This comes as a new UN report says that over 4,000 children in Palestine need medical attention every month due to malnourishment. Stay tuned as we break down these critical developments and explore their impact on the future of global power and security. Is Moscow on the brink of declaring a victory in Ukraine? Or is Russia simply bowing under the pressure of its enormous mounting challenges? Russia's spy chief boldly has claimed victory in Ukraine is within reach, with Ukrainian forces collapsing and Zelensky's government losing control. But behind this triumphal gesture lies turmoil. Syria burns and Bashar al-Assad's regime has fallen, and the once feared leader now clings to Moscow for refuge. So is Russia's claim of success in Ukraine a masterstroke? Or is it a smokescreen to mask the fallout from losing its strongest ally in West Asia? Our next report tells you more.
The winds of war are shifting, but are they blowing in Moscow's favor or against it? In a startling declaration, Russia's top spy chief Sergei Naryshkin claims that Moscow is on the verge of achieving its so-called special military operation goals in Ukraine. His words, bold and triumphant, paint a picture of Ukrainian forces on the brink of collapse and President Zelensky's government losing all legitimacy. But behind this bravado lies a fragile strategy. Syria is in turmoil. Bashar al-Assad's regime has fallen, and the once iron-fisted leader has now been given asylum in Russia. So, could the unraveling of Assad's regime, Moscow's long-standing ally, be forcing Putin to pivot? First, let's break down the Ukrainian narrative. In an interview, Naryshkin echoed President Putin's rhetoric, framing the Ukraine war as a battle for Russia's freedom and sovereignty against the so-called collective West. The spy chief even went on to say that Moscow is close to achieving its set goals in Ukraine. But here's the reality check. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov recently admitted there are no fixed goals for the war. Peskov further added that President Putin will decide what counts as victory. Meanwhile, Kyiv appears to be pivoting too. After months of insisting on reclaiming its lost territories, Ukrainian leaders are now proposing a new approach known as the German scenario. This would prioritize NATO membership to end the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that the areas lost to Russia could be recovered later through diplomacy. But let's not miss the elephant in the room, Syria. This week, the Assad regime, a cornerstone of Moscow's influence in West Asia, officially collapsed after months of escalating unrest. The seismic shift in West Asia puts Russia's global strategy under immense strain. Analysts say the timing is no coincidence. Moscow may be racing to declare a win in Ukraine to shift its resources and focus to Syria, where the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Losing its foothold in West Asia could spell disaster for Russia's global standing. Is Moscow's declaration of progress in Ukraine a genuine sign of success? Or is this a desperate attempt to cut its losses as it grapples with a new crisis in West Asia? From Ukraine's frozen trenches to Syria's fiery streets, Moscow is scrambling to find its balance. It remains to be seen if Putin can successfully juggle the two collapsing narratives.
A thunderous series of airstrikes, a shattered regime, and a region on the brink of a seismic shift. In an operation that has rocked Syria, Israel has launched one of its most aggressive military assaults, unleashing nearly 480 strikes on Syrian military targets in just 48 hours. Now, as Syria's new leadership steps in, the question remains, how will they navigate the wreckage of their shattered military? Our next report decodes this for you.
The skies over Syria erupted in flames as Israel unleashed an assault of staggering proportions. In just 48 hours, nearly 480 strikes have shattered the military remnants of a nation already teetering on the edge. This is no ordinary military operation. It's a calculated and devastating response following the collapse of the Bashar al-Assad regime. Israeli forces have not only crossed into the demilitarized buffer zone for the first time in 50 years, but have obliterated 70 to 80% of Syria's strategic military capabilities, targeting airfields, missile systems, anti-aircraft batteries, and even weapons production sites. From the heart of Damascus to the strategic coastal city of Latakia, no target was left untouched. In total, nearly 350 of the 480 strikes were actually airstrikes carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces. These strikes took down Syrian fighter jets, tanks, and advanced missile systems. But the assault didn't stop there. Israeli naval forces moved swiftly as well, completely dismantling Syria's naval fleet. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, called the onslaught a great success. Israeli ships targeted 2 Syrian naval facilities, destroying 15 vessels docked there, along with dozens of sea-to-sea missiles. The IDF claims that up to 80% of the Syria's military capabilities have now been destroyed. That's a massive blow to a regime already on the ropes. With the military infrastructure left in ruins, this was a clear message sent to Syria's new leadership and its allies. From Tel Aviv, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a stern message warning against any transfer of weapons to Hezbollah or Hamas. Israel is making it clear that it will not tolerate threats on its doorstep. With the new caretaker PM Mohammed al-Bashir taking charge of Syria till March 2025, how will Syria's new leadership navigate these turbulent waters?
The toll of war weighs heaviest on those least equipped to bear it. Gaza's children are fighting a battle that they never saw coming. A newly released UN report states that the number of children requiring treatment in Gaza every month has reached 4,000, a sharp spike since July. This crisis is pushing Gaza's healthcare system to its breaking point, as hospitals struggle to manage the growing number of cases. As Gaza's youngest fight for survival in a system on the brink of collapse, when will the world reach out for help?
A grim reality continues to unfold in Gaza, where the humanitarian crisis deepens with every passing month. The United Nations has reported that over 4,000 children in Gaza are now being admitted for treatment every month due to severe malnutrition. This is a stark rise since July, highlighting the devastating toll the ongoing conflict is taking on the region's youngest population. The alarming number comes just months after the ongoing conflict intensified, pushing Gaza's healthcare system to its breaking point. Despite the urgent need for medical care, access remains one of the most significant challenges facing humanitarian groups operating in Gaza. The UN report says that just over 151,000 screenings have been completed out of the 346,000 children under the age of 5 living in Gaza. But the situation is even more urgent in the face of severe shortages of essential resources. The humanitarian crisis isn't just about malnutrition. It's about the collapsing healthcare infrastructure that is struggling to keep pace with the skyrocketing demand for medical treatment. In Gaza, the number of children admitted for medical care are on the rise every day, According to the UN reports, hospitals are overwhelmed. From the moment of birth, many children in Gaza face a battle for survival. For those already malnourished, every passing day brings them closer to a life-threatening situation. But it's not just the healthcare system that is on the brink. Gaza is facing an unprecedented food crisis. In areas like Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis, prices for staple items like flour have soared to over $250 for a 25-kilogram bag. That's a price far beyond the reach of most families, leaving them with no choice but to go hungry. The crisis in Gaza is not just a humanitarian disaster, it's a ticking time bomb. And every passing day inches closer to a full-blown catastrophe. With food prices soaring and hospitals overwhelmed, time is running out, and the help they need is still too far from reach.
Thank you so much for catching this episode of Crossfire. You can see us again tomorrow on India Today Global.